That third quarter avalanche came from Golden State. They, in fact, took a lead after being down by 18 points. But there in the fourth, Boston did whatever it wanted. What stood out to you about what Boston was able to do in that final dozen minutes to grab the victory?
Their physicality, their size, their athleticism, the fact that they was getting in Golden State's face. Steph Curry erupted for 15 points in the third quarter or so. But the Boston Celtics in this series are out. They're a plus 40 in the fourth quarter. Let's not forget that. They doubled Golden State up in points in the paint and on second chance points, even though Steph Curry and Klay Thompson combined for 56 points on about 11 threes. The reality of the situation is they didn't have much help. And Boston's defense had a lot to do with that. They were wearing Steph Curry down. He didn't just look hurt near the end. He looked absolutely positively exhausted. We can't get around that. And ultimately, this comes down to who Boston is, spearheaded and sparked by their crowd. And you needed something, anything, from Draymond Green offensively. And unfortunately, it was beyond anemic in terms of his performance. It was a complete and utter no-show offensively. He only attempted 4 shots, ended up with just 2 points. He had he had more fouls than points, for crying out loud. That's how bad it was. And so now, as a result, the Golden State Warriors are in a world of trouble because you don't want to go down to Boston 3-0, 3-1, I'm sorry.
No, and it's interesting. Before this series started, Stephen A., on the show, we pointed out that Vegas had Golden State as the favorite, but a lot of our analytics really like Boston. And as you know so well, every series is about matchups. And on this night where Golden State gets the big night from Steph, and they got a more than a decent night from Klay, the physicality of Boston, that's going to travel game to game. I just wonder, from a matchup perspective, 3 games in, what your sense is of what we'll see moving forward.
Well, my sense is that, the Golden State Warriors, you're going to see Steve Kerr utilize his bench a little bit more because you've got some young thoroughbreds on the bench that can come off and spell for the Klay Thompsons and the Steph Currys of the world. But you got to throw them in there and get some minutes from somebody in terms of just activity. And you got to get something from Draymond Green. The reality of the situation is, after Game 2, he was one of the stars for Game 2. And he talked a lot, and everybody heard him an awful lot. And coming into Boston, this is one of the greatest sports towns in America and one of the greatest basketball towns that have ever existed. They knew he was coming into town. They were waiting for him. They were revved up to go right at him, and they sparked the team to do the same. You cannot respond to that kind of challenge with 2 points on 1-for-4 shooting. I don't give a damn who you are. You've got to do more. You've got to do better. And you've got to harness that level of responsibility, not just on the defensive end of the floor, but on offense as well, just to pose some kind of threat so they can't consistently just collapse on the Steph Currys of the world. It's 4-on-5 basketball when the Golden State Warriors have the ball on offense. That's not going to cut it against the elite defensive team in the NBA right now, which happens to be the Boston Celtics.
You're right. And look, Draymond said after Game 1 he felt like they had to meet force with force, and they did in Game 2. And after this, Draymond gives him a lot. He gave him nothing tonight and gives him 2 points and fouls out. We'll see what kind of answers there are in Game 4 coming later this week. It's almost midnight. First Take coming tomorrow morning. Stephen A., appreciate you making time for us on SportsCenter as always.
No problem. Take it easy.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.